Alright guys, compositions is a new concept. So compositions, remember we talked, it's kind of like a nesting egg. So basically, you're going to replace the variable with an entire expression. So like I said, the first thing I always do is I always look to see what letters first. So number one, it says f of g of x. I'm just going to write f of x first. So I know that f of x equals x plus 3. So f of x equals x plus 3. So remember, when we're talking about composition, so the reason we write it as f of x is because x is a variable. So like if I were to erase x there, erase x here, I could put y there, which means I put y as my variable. I could put stick figure guy there, which means I put stick figure where my variable's at. So the variable is just a holder. So that's the first thing we're going to kind of talk about is that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write f of x equals x plus 3. Now I'm going to rewrite it without a variable. So I'm going to put f of big blank space equals big blank space plus 3. This is where x was. This is where x was. See how there's big blank space? Now I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to put g of x in. So I'm going to put g of x here. So I'm going to put g of x right there. All right. And then when I simplify it, so f of g of x, now I just simplify it. It's really easy. 3x squared plus 3. Alright, so I'm going to do the same thing for number 2. So I'm always going to pay attention to what's written first. So I look at the g. Right? So g is first. So I write g of x equals 3x squared. Now I'm going to rewrite it without the variable. So rewrite without the variable. So I'm going to write g of big blank space equals 3 big blank space squared. So look, that big blank space is right there because that's where x was at. Right? So now I'm going to take g of x and I'm going to, inside of it, I'm going to put f of x, which means wherever I see f of x, I put x plus 3. Now for this problem, you can't distribute the little 2. Biggest mistake I'm going to see is, you remember, we learned that this is not allowed. Right? Can't do that. So I have to write it twice. Now I'm going to FOIL the inside. So x goes to x squared, x goes to 3, 3x, 3 goes to x, 3x, 3 goes to 3, 9. So I end up with g of f of x equals 3 times x squared plus 6x plus 9. Then I distribute the 3. So my final answer is g of f of x equals 3x squared plus 18x plus 27. And that's it. Alright, so back to more compositions. Remember, compositions mean we're just putting one equation into another equation. So I'm going to take the entire equation and put it into another equation. Like I said, the first thing I always do is I always look at whatever is first. So since f is first, I'm going to write that. I'm going to write f of x since f is first. So I'm going to say f of x equals x plus 3. Now, I'm going to remove the variable, because the reason we write f of x is because that's a variable. And I'm going to write f of big blank space. So wherever I take the variable out at, instead of the variable, alright. Now in this blank space, I'm going to put f of x. So f of x goes here. Now on the other side of the equation, I'm not going to put f of x. I'm actually going to put x plus 3. And I'm just going to simplify. So my final answer is just going to be f of x equals x plus 6. And that's it. Done. So now we're going to do the same thing with g of x. So remember, g is first. So I'm going to write g of x. So it has nothing to do with the g of x that's in the middle, that's inside the parentheses. I'm just, because g is first, I write g of x equals 3x squared. All right, now remember, I'm going to replace the variable. With space. So I'm going to write g and no variable. I'm just going to put a big blank space. All right, just a big blank space equals 3. Instead of x, I'm going to put a blank space. All right, nothing there. Now I'm going to put g of x right there. So I put g of x right there, which means I put 3x squared right there. Now I'm just going to simplify. So I'm going to simplify it. I get g of x equals, now you're going to have to square both of these first. The reason you actually square the 3 and the 2 is because there is no plus in between. So because it's multiplication, you make it 9x to the 4th. Now you multiply by 3, so g of x, once you simplify, is 27x to the 4th. And that's how composition works, all right? Compositions are just basically two different types of equations you put into one each other. That's it.